That was in it.
Yeah.
We're on.
Sorry.
Thanks for coming, everybody. We're going to start with the pledge.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thanks again for coming out tonight. Nice rainy night. At least it's not snowing. We'll start with number one, approve the agenda. Any additions, deletions, or corrections? Anything, Teresa? Yeah. Lonnie?
Just curious if we could find out a little more about the emergency services crew. And I have a question about the Casson Police Department head response about the permitting for the golf carts.
Okay, so that's in correspondence. You want to move that to like new business?
Sure, it won't take me long.
Okay, and we'll hit the other on the mayor's report.
Perfect.
All right. All right, so we'll add the police chief's correspondence to new business. I'll entertain a motion to approve the agenda.
I'll make that motion.
And a second?
Second.
Mr. Manning, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Consent agenda. Everything is in your packet. Any questions for the administrator on anything in the consent agenda?
Motion to approve.
Thanks, Wayne. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. We have a visitor to the council tonight, Olivia Torkelson. The floor is yours. You want to come to the podium, just state your name and address, and then share with us what you have.
Have some stuff to hand out here.
We're not really important.
Thank you.
Hello, my name is Olivia Torkelson, and I live on 1200 West Main Street in Casson. I understand and appreciate the importance placed on city council meetings, so thank you for taking the time to review my request. We reside on the outskirts of town, close to being outside city limits. I'm 16 years old, an avid horsewoman, responsible and concerned with the proper care and horsemanship as this relates to my hobby. I own an 11-year-old registered quarter horse whose name is Billy. I use Billy for barrel racing and pole bending. I currently keep him 7 miles from my home. Billy is domesticated and has had human interaction his entire life. We have a large portion of property covering several acres to the south of our home. I currently own one domesticated equine, and I am looking into purchasing another as my mom rides as well. My request is for you to consider allowing the housing of my equine on our 8-acre parcel. In the past, this property had been used to house equine in the back pasture south of our home. I will practice conscious ownership, and with the assistance of my parents, we can assure the construction of a tasteful building to house Billy in. This area will be clean, clutter-free, and well-kept. I welcome any questions regarding my request sincerely, and I sincerely appreciate your time.
Any questions for Olivia? I think part of, just as a 30,000-foot view as far as ordinances go, we have an ordinance that says you can't do that, right? So you're asking us to reconsider that?
Yeah.
I think the first step would be you'd have to go to planning and zoning and request a variance to that ordinance. So I think, unless I'm wrong with my planning and zoning people, that's kind of the process that would have to be followed, is to petition planning and zoning for a variance, and then they would either recommend or not recommend to the council that we issue that variance. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. Does that make sense to the council?
Yep.
Is this in city limits?
Yeah, it's in all the city limits.
Right, okay, just making sure.
Yes, that is, on the, we printed up a little map, so as we can see, the railroad track is at the bottom of along here, and then on that map is also some distances to the roadway, distances to neighbors, and so everybody can kind of see what the part of it that we'd be looking at, and it would be near the back, that back piece and, little information on that, we'd kinda like to, it's really kinda getting overgrown, and we'd like to keep it down, get rid of that invasive buckthorn, cause it's in some parts where that would probably be the best thing, cause we got some water that comes through there, and that buckthorn is pretty hard on all that stuff, so trying to keep it down is a major thing for us, and if we can get rid of it, keep something in there to help maybe with that end of it too.
So you're thinking in that 4.28 or something?
And what we would do is put a nice fence up there, we'd clear out some of that brush and leave the trees, the good trees. And then, it could be a couple different types of fences, but we would use the existing fence along the back part that's already there. Probably just use a little TLC. It's been a long time since anything's been in there, but, and then on there you can see there's a shop part there, we would add on to that to make something that's pretty nice, so.
Any other questions?
No, that was all I had.
I think the best thing to do would be get on the planning and zoning, schedule, on their meeting agenda. And then is there an application for a variance that she would need for
Yeah,
that?
there is a land use application for a variance, and we would need to have it by the 23rd in order to be able to publish in advance of the next, of the June planning commission meeting.
Okay, fine.
Okay?
All right, thank you.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you very
appreciate it.
much.
Have a good night. Public forum, I didn't receive any cards. Teresa or Linda, did you get any cards from anybody?
Yep.
Nope, okay. On to committee report. Finance committee, funding requests. I think it was in the packet, we uploaded it there, just a spreadsheet that Nancy and she's put together, and we went over it. I gave a copy to all the council members before, and basically the exercise was, these are some of the things that have come up that people have been requesting, whether it's the library or wherever it's at. And as you can see, all those little things add up to a lot of things. And I think that one of our biggest challenges on that is the 2017 street balance that's not funded by the bonds, because we couldn't go over $10 million, so we have $400,000 we're gonna have to come up with to pay that for sure. We don't have a choice on that. Some of these other ones at the top, you know, we do have choices, but some not really, we just have to figure out where we get the money from. So basically, we just have that, so as new things come up, and we can just prioritize it, or as one of these things on the list come up, you kinda have your idea how you prioritize it, so we can have a good conversation about why or we should or shouldn't do that from your perspective. So, I think we just wanna hang on to those, and then as the things come, just bring them to the meeting, so we have that for reference. That'd be good. Any questions on that at all? Okay, all right, makes sense, just, we had a couple other things come up at EDA yesterday that, we can add to the list, but, you know, the best off, we discussed it and decided that maybe it's better off to just bring it up for budgeting for 2020, versus keep adding to this one, and we aren't gonna be able to fulfill this list. New business, we moved the police, department head report there.
Okay, just something I wanted to bring up. I was reading Kent's report, and he had stated that they were having issues with people with golf carts stopping the same people multiple times because we don't have a permit system in place, but we do. It is in the ordinances that they're supposed to have a permit to be able to have them on the street. And I just wanted to see if the council wanted Kent to pursue that issue.
So, I had actually stopped out there before, when they were working on the permit process. They're just trying to figure out, they had somebody apply for one. They're trying to figure out, do we issue a tag for carts so we ain't, so they're not stopping them every time, is what he's trying to figure out.
Right,
Because they don't wanna harass people, but yet they want people to comply.
right.
And I see Dodge Center just started a program, maybe.
West Concord has,
But
Canyon
Dodge said, yeah,
has.
so maybe there's something that they can work with them and see what they're doing, or.
Right, a lot of them stick them on the slow-moving vehicle sign, so they can see it readily when the
Mhm.
cops are behind them, that they do have a tag. I told them it'd be kinda nice if they had an application system if they have to cover the cost of the sticker, it can't be very much, but if they have to charge a fee, they can hand them a set of the rules, so everybody understands the rules. They get a sticker, they keep it in place, they know what's happening, where they can go, where they can't go, who can drive, who can't.
So is the issue that people have a permit, but there's just no way to identify that when they're driving the car around?
Right.
Mhm.
Okay.
Right.
Did you have?
I do. So, my question is, what's the difference between a golf cart and a four-wheeler, as far as younger kids driving a four-wheeler and a golf cart?
Four-wheeler
So,
golf.
you have a golf cart, and there's a 8, 10, 12-year-old driving it down the road, but it has a slow-moving vehicle, they don't pull it over, but a four-wheeler with a kid on it with a helmet knows how to drive it, they pull it over, what's the difference?
Actually, the golf carts, they're supposed to have a license. It
Yes,
is.
license and
It's 16 or older,
Yeah.
Right,
right?
right.
Yeah, they have to have a
Okay.
valid driver's license.
Oh,
either of them.
For either one.
So,
If they're on a four-wheeler, they
That
have
way-
a valid license with a proof of insurance.
That way it kind of pushes that issue if they
well,
have to
it
have a
pushes it,
permit.
but who enforces it? That's my question.
The police.
Yeah, well, I get that. It's, I got a problem with it.
It's
as
how
far
they
as-
enforced.
There are some distinguishing factors in the state statute that talk about the difference between a vehicle that you can kind of sit side by side on that has a wheel versus something that you're straddling, like a four-wheeler too. The state statute does distinguish between those types of vehicles.
I had a four-wheeler at one time. I have had snowmobiles in the past. You know, with a snowmobile, you're supposed to get, a learner's permit, say, you know, to be able to drive them on the streets. Is four-wheelers the same way, or not yet?
That's my question is, I'm just bringing it up because my 14-year-old daughter got pulled over, been driving for 5 years, wearing a helmet. As she got pulled over, a golf cart went by with a 10 or 11-year-old driving it, and they looked the other way. So my question is, to what
We need to make sure it's being enforced.
what
properly.
extent, yeah,
Definitely.
if she's gonna get a ticket and say, hey, you can't drive the four-wheeler, but you're definitely old enough, and you're mature enough to wear a helmet, why are we stopping one and not the other?
Right, I agree.
Okay.
I agree.
So back to,
I just wanted to know if we can have Teresa or whoever work with Kent and get this thing going so we can get it advertised that there is a permit process that they have to get with a sticker or some kind of label or something, so the police can readily identify that they are permitted, and they understand the rules, just to keep public safety going.
If you read in his notes too, it says you need a valid driver's license to operate a vehicle.
Yeah.
So that means anything, four-wheeler, golf cart, anything that's considered a vehicle.
On city
On
streets.
city street with, yeah, so a driver's license and proof of insurance.
Right.
Okay, so I think maybe the finer point is if we're gonna, assess a fee, then we need to adopt that as part of the fee schedule, because we could move ahead, take in permits, issue stickers, but if we wanna charge them something for the process, then it means putting that on the fee schedule, which I think at the time that the ordinance was changed, the choice was to not impose a fee.
Right, correct.
So, that's really the finer point. We can certainly take care of all the procedural stuff. The finer point is, do you wanna impose a fee?
I don't,
Okay.
that is my opinion.
Yeah, 'cause we could provide stickers tomorrow, you know, or as soon as we get the permit.
Okay.
Yeah.
But is the sticker for just that vehicle, or is it for who's
Yeah.
driving the vehicle?
Just that vehicle.
That vehicle.
That vehicle
Just that
is.
vehicle.
Is another,
So you don't stop the vehicle because a 12 or 14-year-old's driving it,
But
because it has the
they're gonna
sticker?
use their judgment, if they see somebody underage, they're gonna pull them over. That's where we're working on getting this set into place.
Sure.
Okay. So we can certainly do that.
that's just my opinion. I don't think we need to charge a fee for it, it's just a sticker and go from there. My opinion, we don't need more.
Yeah, I think we can address the fee next year if we see that it becomes a burdensome on the
Right.
administration.
Then we have the other issue of the Big Iron Classic coming up, we talked about this last year. Would we have stickers available or some kind of temporary thing that they could have, the Big Iron Classic folks to be handing out at the fairgrounds?
You'd have to.
Right, I mean, 'cause we don't want to.
With the rules, though,
You
'cause
gotta
they're
treat
not
'em
following
like
the rules.
everybody else.
Right.
When people show up at the Big Iron Classic, is there a registration table or
Yes,
something they have
yes.
to stop at? Then you could make it part of the registration paperwork.
Yeah, they already register them there.
So it wouldn't be that much harder just to have the copies in hand.
Right, just to make sure that they have what the rules are.
Keep them off the sidewalks.
Pick up their sticker if they need it.
Yeah, most of them are
And then
like
they
the
have-
first meeting of the Big Iron
then
Classic.
they have to drive down there without a sticker to get a sticker, so it would
Hopefully,
be better if
catch
they
them
just had
before
it.
then, so we get a couple more.
Yeah.
But I mean, yeah, if there is an age restriction, it should be listed on the rules that are handed out.
That's what I mean. If the rules are printed out, so when they get a sticker, they get it, the rules, they can't say that they didn't get it. They don't understand.
Okay. So does the same apply to an ATV, to address this gentleman's question? So then we need to tell ATV owners that
No.
are driving on the street. that
My
they-
ATVs are state licensed. I mean,
According to this, the ordinances, special vehicles, motorized golf carts, utility task vehicles, Class 1 all-terrain vehicles, and mini trucks.
What's an all-terrain vehicle?
An ATV?
I would call it
Be
an
a
ATV.
four-wheeler, three-wheeler?
Okay, so they're good to go.
Well, but then
That means it needs a permit.
there's a distinction
It's
somewhere in
licensed.
Minnesota law between Class 1 and a Class 2 ATV.
Already done that.
Huh? It's a license on the back of it.
Right.
I pay,
And then they gotta be 16 years or older with a valid driver's license to drive it.
Yeah, but
On the street.
If
On the
it's already got a
street.
license, you don't need a sticker.
Right.
It's already a licensed vehicle.
Yep. Just like a snowmobile.
Yep.
so, I'm gonna pull you back on the snowmobile, you don't have to be 16 to drive a snowmobile.
I'm,
But you still
You're
are
on-
supposed to.
You don't need a driver's
You're
license
supposed to have
drive
that
it.
safety class.
Yes, and they have it.
Yes.
So, if my daughter got pulled over and said, hey, you walk your four-wheeler home, and she got a safety class taken on a four-wheeler, I got a problem with this.
As long as she can show them that she had the class,
you gotta carry it.
You don't have a driver's license.
but they do give, just like snowmobiles, we always got a card.
Yeah, boating,
But
she's
that's
got
not-
boating,
That's not the way.
four-wheeler.
Our ordinance.
But that's not what our
treats
ordinance says.
Snowmobiles differently.
Yeah, some of those are treated completely
Yeah.
separate from this ordinance.
Our ordinance says you have to be 16 or older with a valid driver's license. Right now.
Yep.
To run on city streets.
Your ordinance is more restrictive than the state.
Yes.
Yes.
Is the bottom line.
Correct. Okay.
Can I ask one question?
Sure.
What is the purpose of the permit?
Of the sticker?
Yeah.
As,
I mean, what?
so that they're aware of the rules.
Yes,
Yeah.
that's what I would say. That way we know
And
that
they have
they have
insurance.
been handed the rules.
Yeah.
The rules state that they're supposed to have insurance, liability insurance. That way they understand. And it isn't just hearsay, they have been handed the rules. You have a permit, shows that you've been handed the rules. If you do get stopped for an infraction, you knew the rules.
Yeah, and you have insurance on the vehicle.
Right.
So you have to prove insurance
To get,
the
yep.
Yes.
Just like you have to prove insurance to get your car vehicle tax.
Yep, I was just curious, 'cause I didn't know that part of it, so to me, it seemed like a extra step for little benefit.
Okay. That answers,
Yes.
you wanna move there for? Okay. Mayor's report, May 11th, Dan, you wanna talk about that, pick it up?
Yeah, just, quick heads up, May 11th, the city park department along with the Lions, they're meet here at City Hall at 8 AM and go until noon or before to get it cleaned up. They're gonna start cleaning up, this year they wanna work on Highway 50, or Memorial Highway 34. They wanna do both sides of that. And then they were gonna look at where we were dumping snow, and then if we get them, then they were gonna head to the parks. So they're looking for anybody that would like to come and help out. It's rain or shine. But in the past, like last year when I helped do it, it was 2 hours. Every year, it gets less and less. People are
being more considerate, it seems, and the city's been staying a lot cleaner, but I mean, we're trying new areas this year that we haven't.
Okay, 8 o'clock at City Hall?
Yep, 8 o'clock City Hall.
Okay.
The safety vest will be here, the bags will be here, and I think even, there might be some gloves from the hardware store again.
Okay. All right, and then Lonnie had asked about the EMS, safety committee. I think that's good to go. If you guys just wanna coordinate when's best for everybody.
Okay.
So, just get that scheduled wherever works best for you guys. Okay? Administrator's report.
Okay, whew, where to start? So, in order to make sure that individuals, don't get bogged down in any processes when it comes to, taking advantage of alternative energy, sources for their homes, the Minnesota legislature has put some very specific rules in place regarding distributed generation. Rules that we as the electric utility need to abide by. In order to make sure that we are following the rules correctly, we participate with Star Energy Resources in the program that they have built out to make sure that municipalities and co-ops are following the policy. So essentially what we need to do tonight is approve the policy, approve the resolution, approve a fee schedule. The fees are already set by the state of Minnesota, so essentially that's what your fee schedule says as per state statute. And then also approve an abbreviated publication of that addition to the fee schedule. And then we will be operating under the guidelines that have been put together for us.
Okay. Any questions for the administrator on that? There's 6 things in the packet.
And there's also a binder which, once this is approved and published, we will make all those PDFs available on our website, so folks know what the application process will entail.
Okay, all right, thank you. That's pretty much a no-brainer. If someone wants to do it, this is what they have to do. We don't control or approve it, so. So the first thing we need to do is approve the contract, is that correct?
Actually, if you approve the resolution, I think that covers both the policy and the rules.
Okay.
So if you approve the resolution, then the fee schedule, and then the abbreviated publication, I
Okay.
believe we have it covered.
I'll entertain a motion to approve the resolution.
I'll make the motion.
You have a second?
I'll second that.
Stan? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Resolution passed. On to the fee schedule, that's set by the state. Again, nothing we can do about that, so I'll entertain a motion to approve the fee schedule.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Thank you. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Entertain a motion to approve the summary publication.
I'll make that motion.
Stan, do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Thanks, Lonnie. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you.
Anything else?
Nope.
Engineers report.
All right, well, thank you, Mayor and Council. The first, we have 3 items tonight. The first one's, Marty, retention pond and development agreement. I believe the development agreement is in your council packet. And it was discussed last council meeting. I was unable to attend, so, not sure how we wanna have this discussion or where we go. Maybe I'll just give a quick background so we maybe get up to speed and then kinda see where it goes. So we met with the developers on Stone Ridge Marty here, I think it was this fall and into winter. We kinda tossed around what we do with stormwater management. Stormwater management's never easy from our, development perspective. It always seems like developers upstream wanna develop and then we have to approach homeowners downstream or property owners downstream for ponds. So, the discussion was kind of, the city doesn't chase these regional ponds. We've told some other developers that are on their own, go figure it out themselves and let us know when they're ready. And the developer said, well, there is a city interest here and this other future developers pond may serve, and maybe the city is interested in it. I said, well, maybe, because we have a area that we're looking at developing, 16th Street, that would potentially serve this regional pond. So I said, okay, well, we can look at it and start the conversation and see where it goes. So the developer, I believe, was intended to proceed with their development and kind of work out the details, because they brought forward a plan B that was them figuring out the pond on their own. And that's kind of what's in the development agreement. So, that's kind of in the development agreement now, maybe we need to look at continuing this regional pond discussion with the city, some city involvement, I'll kinda come back to that. So, what to me that was city leading it is the first step that we talked about was this big wetland discussion we had, to build this in the spot that maybe made the most sense from an engineering standpoint. And I said, well, if there's a big wetland down there, it doesn't make sense because we're probably not building down there. So I went ahead, I talked to, met on site, looked at the site, and at the end of the day, there's not wetland down there. So we kinda passed that test. We have a secondary requirement of some stream bank restoration that we would likely have to do through the Army Corps permitting, but I'll save you the details of Army Corps of Engineers permitting. I think we can work through that is the, kind of the bottom line. So I think that's kind of past that test. It seems like this is still a feasible option, angle or an avenue that we might wanna go down. Now we have, how do we pull it all together as if we go down this road or continue going down this road? That property is currently owned by the county. Majority of it, we may have to work with that private, downstream property that the developer is currently working for, but it seems like it is, something that we could pursue, assuming that the county board is on board, with what we're proposing. So, I think the discussion is where do we go with this? 'Cause the next step is going to be additional conversation with the county, permitting, design, construction of a pond to serve this development, along with future development, and then some city projects for 16th Street. So that's why I think the city, if we go with this regional pond, maybe leading some of the discussion, at least with the county, to get this off and running, if you will. With, again, the fallback option that's in the development agreement that maybe we need to tweak here, is that the developer builds the pond on their private property and not involving the county. But from an engineering standpoint, that I think is not as an attractive option kind of for everybody and cost-wise. We good there? Does that make sense? So I guess, to me, that's, we got two things here. Does the city want to continue pursuing this regional pond? Or do we just say, we don't pursue it and develop it on your own, work through and we'll proceed as normal? And again, that I don't know that we want to go that route. I think we want to continue pursuing this regional pond, due to our involvement in 16th Street, because we'll have another pond on like the other side of the creek. We ever built 16th Street, just more efficient for everybody for long-term maintenance, cost of construction to build these regional ponds.
So the site identified, whether it be developer pond or regional pond, are we talking two separate spots? It can't be phased?
Essentially, and then I'll throw maybe a third option where maybe we get the county board on board to donate this land, or we purchase that land for the location of the regional pond. Maybe we have a middle of the road option is where the developer, we secure that property and the developer starts phase one of the regional pond. That's way easier said than done, and hydraulically this doesn't really work out real well, but that may be an option that we get to that point where there would be maybe no city involvement in building that pond. Again, it's just way easier said than done from a engineering perspective, so. And the question, of course, is, well, how do we get there? And I got a lot of hoops to jump through and a lot of permitting to get to that point. Is going to be a time and money discussion too, so. How does that work with the development agreement? I think if we proceed with the development agreement, we have some verbiage in there, saying build the private pond privately unless we can work out something with the city regional pond, is what I think everybody is going for here. Just to have some resolution here on the development agreement.
The idea of timing?
This permitting takes a long time to get things in order. Going maybe back to the county discussion, is we are almost prepared to go to the county with multiple requests, including, just to refresh the council, we have requests on the Fair Board site, and we have unofficial approval, or maybe official approval from the Fair Board that we're planning on taking to the county board for the water main extension for the future water tower site, and then a trail connection by the horse arena there to kind of tie some trails together through our Safe Routes to School project. And then also we were going to bring with that our 16th Street right-of-way request, which again we've had some good discussions with the county board, and then I think we could add this in here because it'd be kind of continuation of that right-of-way, or continuation of that discussion. And again, I think the county staff is generally supportive, or the environmental staff we met with was, but at the end of the day, we don't know until we ask the county board. So I think it wouldn't take a lot of effort to get to that point to make that request, and then we can kind of come back and say, county is agreeable, we come back, here's how we engineer it, here's some of the costs we're looking at, it's gonna be significant, these, ponds are big construction here, and this is a lot of drainage area here, and then work with the developer on how do they participate in that cost, and how do we kind of pull everything together is kind of what I see proceeding if again, this is something the council wants to move forward on, but we could spend, hundreds of thousands of dollars here on this pond at the end of the day. That's the direction we're going with regional ponding, so.
Okay, I understand the regional pond concept, and I have no issue with that. But the only problem is, if the county wants to get paid for this property, where do we get the money to pay for this property? Because we're gonna have to buy the whole chunk for the whole regional pond. Yes, Marty may only pay for his part of it, but the county will expect us to buy this whole chunk, or they may just give it to us, correct?
I'm gonna proceed with, and how I think we proceed up to this point with 16th Street is that it was a regional transportation. The reason why the county has this land south of the dump is for a buffer.
Right.
And my understanding at that time was the county was willing to donate that right away for 16th Street at no cost. And they were gonna retain some property to the south of the right of way, up against the Shooty property there where this drainage way kind of is. So we can continue that ask of the county to allow a drainage easement right away to build this regional pond, because it's serving State Highway 57, it's serving all the way up there, it's serving developed parts of town. We can go from a woods with buckthorn into a regional pond that people can see from the dump road, and we talked about maybe bringing a trail through there. So I think there's some environmental discussion that the county board may be more receptive of donating this land for a drainage easement is what my first approach would be, but obviously I haven't had any discussions with the county yet about that.
And could still be considered their buffer area too, because
Correct, and it's not really buildable because it's in a waterway, there's like 190 acres draining there, so.
Right.
I think from an environmental engineering standpoint, it's a, win-win,
So the best case scenario is the county would give us the property, Marty would be able to pay for doing his part of the regional pond, and then the only cost would be you, but you're gonna donate that, so.
The discussion is if we build that pond bigger for the future development, is when do we ever recover that cost?
Right.
When does majority Shooting, there's a little bit of Bigelow
Well,
property.
that's why I'm asking, can we just do his share of the pond? I know every year it becomes more expensive. Every time a construction company moves in, there's mobilization. It will go up, the cost will go up. It'd be better to do the whole pond at once, but I don't think we have the funds to do the pond right now.
We can look at that, because the other thing is, if a hydraulic perspective, we have all that water washing through there, we build a tiny pond, and then it blows out a wall, and then we're all chasing our tail, and they're just not doing anything, so I gotta look at that a little bit closer.
Okay.
So maybe, if you're receptive of this, to move forward with the county, and we get that first hurdle of the county together, then we kinda circle the wagons here and start putting pen to paper and dollars and cents to it, and have a realistic conversation with the developer is kinda what I think I would pull together.
How close is Shooting close at all to get anything broke loose? Has anybody heard, talked to at all? As far as nothing that?
I don't believe so,
Okay.
but I don't know.
Yeah, I hadn't heard it, but figured not, but.
depends on all the rumors in town.
Yeah.
So it would be a three-part pond, city, Shooty, Marty.
Yep.
Potentially some other.
Yeah, there's some Bigelow is borderline, but it's,
Yeah.
a small amount, but it's Jeremy Bigelow owns the property back there.
And then the existing city.
Yep, then there's some existing city, even like our, third, fourth, and fifth part of that north end, the North Park pool area drains that way. 57th from 7th Street to the north, up to like Dollar General drains that way, and the residential area to the east towards the school drains that way. So, but we don't need to, it's kinda hard to how you quantify that, we don't need to pond, 'cause it's grandfathered in, because the stormwater requirements, laws weren't in place at the time. But
Right.
there's a significant amount of water that, I think Marty's a pretty small portion of what we have going through there at the end of the day. But developer needs pond, and we need to work through it. We're not forced to until we have development in this day and age, so it's a little bit of a give and take, so. If we don't build regional ponds, let's say we build the kind of fallback option of the private pond, then as Shudi develops, we're gonna have 6 other ponds that we're gonna end up maintaining, which is not necessarily what Public Works wants to
Right.
hear.
Right, no, I get that. My only fear with this whole thing is other developers seeing that, hey, you know, we did a regional pond here, Bigelow's, we want you to help us get the regional pond over there going.
And we've told them that, exactly your point, said, we're not helping you, the city's not sending us on a finding mission for your regional ponds, we're not, you guys figure it out privately. So
Right.
I see your point, but we have that 16th Street, and we have another public entity to secure the land, so I think it's slightly different, not much.
Okay.
But it is definitely different.
Yeah,
Right,
slightly
that was
different.
our
so-
conversation this afternoon. You and I had a good conversation this morning,
Yep.
because that's my biggest fear is, I wanna set a precedent.
Right.
Like,
I
with
understand the
private area,
situation, I
yeah,
do.
the land is
I
available.
just don't want this to multiply
And-
within 5 years and
And-
we're building them all over.
Yep, and 2 things. One, in your ordinance, you have this in here, which says, city may build regional ponds and assess charges back to developers in developing areas, is essentially what it says. But then you also have, we don't approve any plats until we have public infrastructure ponds to support development. So that can go both ways, so you kinda have a way to kind of work both sides of the fence, but look at your budgeting and kind of work it through as see fit for every project. Because the east side of town, we had a property owner problem where it wasn't being resolved, and we said, what do you want us to do? Try to go buy the land from the non-cooperating property owner? Can't help you. And developer said, well, that's not fair, you guys are making us build ponds. Well, we have to, you know, so we, dead in the water, I mean, it's being worked on, how's that? So maybe coming back, but,
So it's gonna be.
this is a little different where we have a, and that's why I didn't want the developer to really approach the county, because we've already talked to them, and once we can kind of take that lead, if you will. Same thing with us having a need for 16th Street, because we'll have a pond for 16th Street, you know, so regionalize them centrally makes more sense from an engineering standpoint, but the cost and political things, I understand, so.
Okay.
Okay. Are you able then to pursue the land part of it with the county? You'll run that by them to make sure that's something that's acceptable, or see what the cost will be there?
That means the next step, as long as you guys authorize me to do it, and it's not a significant cost, because we're not designing, we're not dumping loads of engineering to get beyond that. If we get the county on board, then I think then we gotta have a big picture conversation, how much engineering is it gonna take, how many hundreds of thousands of dollars can be, where are we at, can we phase it, and then we sit down with Marty and say, well, if you go privately, it's gonna cost you money, where are you at, and how do we get to the right numbers to make this all work.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
That makes sense, yeah. You guys?
Mike, you're the driving party on this, where do you stand on it?
I'm fine with that, as long as, you know, this is gonna be a timing thing, because,
Yeah.
you know, by the time we get to the end of summer, I need to be able to have houses being built, so if that's the way that we're gonna go, which I think is the best way for everybody, then I need to have some sort of an assurance in the development agreement that I can still construct homes, you know, as long as the pond is moving forward somehow. I don't know how we write that into the agreement, I guess is the way.
And then at one time you'd offer to put some money in there.
Right,
or whatever,
I'll,
to,
whatever, you know, the.
So you know that he's not just saying that, but he's actually, there's cash there.
There's gonna be money there for the city to construct a pond with, for my portion of it, which is that. So I don't know how we word that.
Yeah.
I think until Brandon does some engineering work, we don't know what that dollar amount is, so.
Right,
And
and
the
then-
timing. Or the timing.
Right.
No, I think what the request that Mike has, though, he would like to start construction in the next week or two. Get going, it's gonna take all summer to do the construction. By the end of the summer, should have some kind of an idea, or say, gonna pull a number out of the air to say, okay, we want at least this much right now from you to put in the stormwater fund for the regional pond construction. And that's
Yeah.
That's what Mike's willing to do.
And you just want some
Right now
wording
I
in there
have-
stating, if the pond's going forward and it hasn't started, that you can still build your homes to get,
Correct.
If he's put his money in there,
Yes.
Yeah.
which only makes sense.
Fulfill
So
his
either
obligation.
makes payment and city's on the hook to build the pond, which obviously we'd have to be in agreement, we'd have to get all our ducks in a
Yep.
row. Or the fallback option of, we're not there, we're pulling the plug on the
And then he still
regional
has his
pond,
option of his own.
And then he would be forced to build the private pond, which he evidently has an agreement in place for a private
Right.
party, which is.
Now, the issue with that though is gonna be that if I'm gonna construct a pond, I still need to be able to build houses from this fall through the winter, and then possibly be building the pond next summer. Because if we're going down this path with the county and that takes us to
September,
August,
yeah.
whatever, and then all of a sudden it didn't work, and I have to build a pond, then I'm gonna need time.
Engineering, get
To do that.
permitted and everything
Mhm.
else, yeah.
So you want a buffer,
Yeah.
you want a buffer to be able to say, I'm ready to build houses, but the pond isn't,
Right.
or we're going this direction, it's getting too late in the year, it's gonna have to be done next year, but I still wanna build houses
Correct.
through the winter.
Correct.
I think we have to agree with something like that.
Yeah.
We just have to.
Yeah.
The other part of this is, the pond that was proposed takes care of Stone Ridge 1 and 2. Stone Ridge 1 was built to be a regional pond somewhere down there. So, I'm paying for a pond for 2 developments here, so and that was about a $30,000 pond roughly. So I'm using that number, even though it's for more than just my development. So if we're looking for numbers to pull out of the air, that would be a starting point, yes.
It's kinda hard, just depends on which direction we go and what it's gonna take to complete the pond.
Right, and I mean, whatever it comes back at is what it comes back at.
Right.
I'm just letting you guys kinda know where that's at right now.
Yep. Okay.
roughly.
Okay, so we need something that would, if we wanna pursue with this option, that we would pursue this option with the county to see if we wanna proceed that way. But if it became that point dead in the water, it would still give you some kind of a breaker in there that said you still have time to build a pond on the Shooty property if you have to, if we pull the plug.
Yeah, so this developer's agreement, as we have it before us, needs to be amended, so we can act on this.
Not as is.
Can we still start construction?
Everything else is,
Yeah, as far as the building and everything else, street designs and everything, I didn't have any problem with that.
No.
It's all related to stormwater, but it's all part of the parcel of the same document.
That's a good question. The attorney's looking at me funny.
yeah, but that's not.
Well, I would be extremely concerned about trying to start construction without having something in writing.
Okay, so here, could we do this? I mean, I think we're all in agreement with the rest of the whole agreement. We just need to change that language. I agree, we can't, as soon as we do that, something's gonna happen, and both of us are gonna take the short end of the stick, and nobody's gonna be happy. How soon can we have that amended? I'm just trying to think, could we
Can
call
we
a
have a
special, could we call a
special-
special meeting so we
Yeah.
can get it? I mean, I think we need the whole agreement before we go down a path.
We don't wanna wait too long.
How long do you think we could,
Friday, tomorrow night, Friday.
well, we have to be able to post a special meeting, though, don't we? So if we post it tomorrow, we can have a meeting Monday? Oh, I won't be here. Okay.
Be prior to the planning and zoning meeting.
You wanna have it Monday at 6 before the planning commission meeting?
Maybe 6:15
Sure.
before planning commission meeting.
Okay.
Yeah.
Something you could get there so we can have that, and you can post it tomorrow morning?
Special meeting
Okay.
Monday.
I just don't,
I don't wanna wait
we
too long.
can't do
Oh, that-
something without the
that's-
agreement.
That's fine, I mean, you've been
Yeah.
very accommodating, that's fine.
Yeah, I have to take your attorney's advice on that one. So if that sounds good, we'll table this till Monday at 6:15.
Okay.
Special meeting, okay. Thank you, thanks, Mike.
Thank you.
Rich.
Thanks.
Brandon, 13. Number 2.
So the second item, East Main Street Storm Sewer, in your council packet, 3 items, construction plans and advertisement for bids, and then a resolution to approve the plans and authorize, going out for bids on that project. So I'll start with the first one, the construction plans there. I'll give you a quick background on this project, because I know we got some new council members since we first started talking about this project, so, quick rundown here. Basically, everything north from 7th Street north and Main Street all the way over to Erdman's to about, I don't know if it's 3rd or 4th Avenue east, significant amount of area drains down, to right in front of our police station and fire hall. I think even you may have a mayor that has held down porta potties before, during fireman's dance when it pours. That area floods because essentially the railroad right away acts as a big embankment. Why is that? We have a lot of water and storms are increasing intensity, and we have an undersized storm sewer that goes underneath the railroad tracks. So essentially all that water runs down there, we can't get it out from the north side of the railroad tracks. So what we ultimately are looking at doing is proposing a new storm sewer to basically parallel that, a 48-inch storm sewer that picks up all the water, or picks up majority of the water in a large rain event, at the police station and the fire hall. And instead of draining it south underneath the railroad tracks, underneath the old 14 of the river, going straight east along the north side of the railroad tracks right to Maston Creek. We initially looked at upsizing it to the south, and we had some very difficult issues with right-of-way, contaminated soils, retaining walls, county highway, you name it. So I said, why don't we just go east here? So that's what we came up with. So that's been a little bit of a delay in the project. We changed alignments, had to work some other issues with the power lines through there. One of the other things, when we met with all the property owners along there, they said that back kind of swale behind their houses there floods, and it's always wet, and they've had railroad ties and picnic tables floating away. So we're gonna hopefully alleviate a lot of that drainage too, because there's some other storm sewers we're gonna pick up along the way. Again, this is to provide more of a relief line, so we decrease the frequency of flooding. I never like to say we're going to never have flooding, because with the rain events we seem to be getting, it still is going to flood. But obviously we have a 36-inch line in there now, and we're gonna establish, leave that 36-inch line in place and put a 48-inch. So we're gonna go from one single 36 to a 36 and a 48. So we're gonna increase the capacity pretty significantly. With that said, it still will flood in a huge rain event. We just don't have enough money to build the largest storm pipe man has seen. So that's what we have planned. Get into more details if you'd like to on the project, if needed. Actually, East Main Street, we are gonna do the water and sewer in East Main Street in front of the city hall and the police station there. We are gonna look at some upsizing and some things in there, so that's been budgeted and planned as in addition to the storm sewer. Schedule for the project, one of the things that we're seeing right now, and I would have liked to maybe have got kind of my ducks in a row with the power line company a little bit sooner in the construction season, but we're seeing it starting to tighten up, excuse me. So what I'm proposing for a schedule is we'll proceed with advertising this project. We will allow the contractor to start immediately after the festival in the park and have a completion date of next July. My rationale or thinking here is that the digging of the storm sewer along the railroad tracks there can be done in the winter months, so as long as we give them a schedule over the winter months, I think that's gonna open up the schedule a little bit, be a little more attractive for contractors, less restrictive on them from a scheduling standpoint, generally get more attractive bids. That's kind of my thought there. This project has been budgeted. Nancy's kind of had it on her stormwater fund project. It was budgeted, I think, 3 years ago now, last time we budgeted, and of course, nothing seems to be going down, so I've talked to Nancy and Charlie a little bit about that. But until we have bids, we don't know where we kind of stand there, so that's where we're at on the budget side of things. Any other planning questions before we move on to the advertising?
Are you gonna try to have the street section done by fall?
Good point. So my intent, and I'm open to any discussions we need to have, is to leave that open, meaning the schedule open, meaning contractor, if you would like to do the street work after Festival in the Park and you open the street up, you need to have it replaced by Festival in the Park. And then I'm assuming that contractor will go along the rail tracks and dig that pipe along the rail tracks through the winter months when it's easier to dig there, and we don't have to build a road on top of it. Or with having this open schedule, contractor can wait till winter months, install the 48-inch storm sewer along the railroad tracks, and then
Up
come
to the
back next
street.
spring and then jump up to this street.
Okay.
Leaving that schedule open a little bit. My thought is we wanted to wait till after Festival in the Park at this point, so contractor may come in and do it all and be done with it too.
Right.
We'll just leave that open and let that cards fall. Schedules is, again, we leave them open, less restrictive on contractors, generally get more attractive bids. If we'd like to change that, I'm more than happy to move that date up. I just would caution the council on that. I don't see a real need to get this done today. It's been a problem for many years, as you probably all know, so my thought here at this point is to get a more budget-friendly number, so that's where we're at. Again, happy to go into more details. The second item there is the ad for bids. That is basically just calling out bids and bringing it back to your June 12th meeting for your consideration, entering into a contract with the contractor. And by passing the next item, which is the resolution, would authorize us to send the advertisements to the local newspaper and our online bidding forum, so contractors can bid it and bring it back again to June 6th for your consideration at the June 12th meeting to move forward with that project.
Okay. Any other questions for Brandon on that? I'll entertain a motion to approve resolution for approving the plans and the advertisement.
I'll make that motion.
Snyder, do I have a second?
I'll second.
Thanks, Mel. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Thank you.
Yes. And last item tonight, South Fork Sanitary Sewer Inflow and Infiltration Repair Update. Again, I'll kind of go back a little bit because it's been an item that's probably predates a couple council members on here. So the South Fork area, which is the very south end of town there, has a private sanitary sewer system that was put in. The city's experienced a fair amount of I&I, which is inflow and infiltration, groundwater, rainwater getting into the sanitary sewer. We don't necessarily like that because we have to build bigger treatment plants, bigger pipes, and have backups. So we approached the developer and said, developer, you have a private sewer system here. It's been leaking. We know of a couple spots. We need you to fix it. Here is a list, a fix-it list that the council authorized us to kind of come up with. So we gave that to the developer. And the developer has completed that work except for one private property. There's one home that has a leaking private service that the developer's still working on. It's private infrastructure, gets a little hairy there. But at the end of the day, every other private public infrastructure that they've fixed up, they've worked with city staff, Public Works out there verifying. They sealed up some of the manholes, sealed up some of the service risers that were leaking that we found. So just wanted to pass it on that that's been completed. We haven't really signed off on it because at the end of the day, we have an agreement that I feel says that they need to maintain the system in good working order and not having this I&I, so we can always go back and kind of reopen up the books here and still look at that. And city public works staff has reported that they felt that they could even see that there was a reduction in the amount of clear water that was coming out of the pipe, the last section of pipe from that subdivision, so I think they're already seeing the benefit of making some of these improvements. So wanted to just update you to know that that's kind of been put to bed, or that's been completed, and we're just waiting and seeing for next phases. Another item with South Fork is there may be a next phase of that being proposed here in the coming months, just to give you a heads up. So another reason why I pushed back to the developers, said, hey, I think this council's gonna be expecting you to get this stuff dialed in, so they have done it, so.
Thank you.
That's it.
Appreciate it. Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Under personnel, number 1, deputy chief's job descriptions, admin and ops. Those are in your packet. Personnel committee met and recommended the approval of those, so are there any questions for anyone, by anyone? Okay, entertain a motion to approve.
I'll make that motion.
Second, thanks Mel, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Number 2, wastewater operator. And there's a 1 and a 2.
Well, I think this was for the discussion of the candidate that was interviewed and how to proceed.
Okay. Just skip this whole thing. So we did have an interview for the position last Wednesday. Teresa, if you want to take that. So we're looking to see if.
Right, so, do you have a recommendation regarding that candidate? And then I understand that, there may be a question about what wage to offer the candidate, should you choose to make an offer.
I think we left the meeting afterwards that they wanted to make an offer. They just
Okay.
didn't know what wage to offer.
Okay, all right. So, so then maybe you're looking at that this person qualifies for wastewater operator 2. And that pay scale, grade 10 actually, for wastewater operator 2.
Nine
So
on the
9
job
on ours,
description.
9 on the document.
No, it says 9, why am I looking at 10?
I was making sure I was reading the right one, the other one's 8, right?
Wastewater operator 2,
Oh, why does this one say operator 2 full time?
that was Dick. That was Nick. What is that one?
But the position description says 9?
9, right here.
Okay.
Yep.
So unless our contract was different, that's where we are. Okay, 9. And it could have been, after we negotiated our labor agreement, I'm sorry. So for, grade 9, starts at 24.18 and goes to 29.30.
Correct. And I think a recommendation at the personnel meeting was that we qualify for the wastewater 2.
Okay,
So
okay,
that's where the offer should be.
okay.
It's a starting.
He's got quite a bit of experience in pursuing licenses, and he's close to taking his B exam now, he just has to be able to take it, so.
So at the entry level was the recommendation?
That's where they were coming here.
That's what, yeah, that's
So,
what we need to
that's,
discuss.
you know, we were saying wastewater 2. Charlie was, you know, hesitant, you know, at the entry level, you know, where do we wanna go there? Right now, you can't find these guys.
No, your entry level's only
Or-
class
or
C, he's
gals.
almost got a B, so.
Right. So I guess we were just looking for some direction from the council on how you felt about it. What you would wanna go up to.
How many steps are in there?
7.
7 steps.
So would you wanna,
Like step,
step 4?
4
If
is
he's almost got his B?
26.62.
I'm just picking a number.
No, that's what we're discussing, yeah.
You know, if he's almost got his B, if you're putting him there, and then you can see where he's progresses with his experience here, then you have room to move him forward.
Okay, so we have one recommendation at 4, any other discussion or questions on that, or other ideas? Dwayne?
Yeah, I just my concern is how quickly he's gonna ceiling out. And once he ceilings out, what incentive do we have to keep him here? Now, we always have
Does he
that.
move to lead operator, or, you know, I mean,
Yeah.
we have our current one that's getting close to retirement age.
Yeah, we can't count on that.
No, you can't, but I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, and then, you know, we talked about that a little bit, even, you know, it's, you know that we aren't gonna pay as much as Rochester's gonna
Right,
pay, no
yeah.
matter what. However he's licensed, it's just not gonna happen.
And there's no
way we-
guarantee that you can keep him.
Yeah, we can't, and we just can't pay that. You know, but somebody comes in with a licensure, is willing to work and has some vision, you know, there's
Yeah.
room in this department down the road for
Yeah.
advancement if they choose to work hard and stick around. So you
Yeah.
gotta be able to look long-term. So,
There's no guarantees in anything, it's just different city, you know, I mean, if he's looking, you know, there's different workload.
I can live with Dan's recommendation.
okay. Any other thoughts or concerns, questions? Okay. Do you need a motion on that, or just direction?
I think we would want a motion to offer him the position, because in the case
Okay.
that he accepts it, then
Got it.
you would have approved him as an, so,
Yep.
yeah.
All right, so I'll entertain a motion to recommend step 4.
Grade 9,
Grade
step
9,
4.
step
I
4.
will make that motion.
Okay, do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Fine, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Number 3, seasonal streets worker, this was the part of the seasonal street worker that was in the budget.
So we had a seasonal parks worker position description. We did not have a position description specific to the seasonal streets worker. So we took that part-time parks worker position, made the tweaks for streets, and now we're bringing it to you for approval of this position description. And actually, we've even already, let the folks at the high school know we're looking for somebody 18, to come to work for us.
Okay, any questions on the position? This is same as the park.
Motion to approve the description.
Do I have a second? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Number
Who
4.
seconded, I'm sorry, who seconded?
Mel.
Sorry, okay, thank you.
Number 4, the electric supervisor position. This is, again, an update on the
Requirements on the.
requirements.
For the position, so, after the personnel committee meeting, I was asked to add the on-call language, which I picked up actually 2 different references from the, other department position descriptions to kind of specify that on-call, and then, minimum, eligibility for the position as well.
And the on-call stuff came out because the way it was being done previously was the supervisor wasn't really participating in the on-call, and it's a department of 4. It's a working supervisor position, so we want to make sure that everybody shared in the on-call opportunity. So, any questions on that, Administrator?
I'll move to approve the amended description.
Okay, do I have a second?
I'll second that.
Thanks, Dan. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And then number 5, we got the labor agreement opener letter.
Can I just back you up to whether or not we want to post
Yes, we need to post that.
the electric
Yep.
supervisor?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, thank you.
What's that? Are we posting internally and externally, or?
We have to follow the
Per
contract.
the.
Per the contract, okay.
Yep,
Just checking.
Yep.
per the labor agreement.
So we were all,
Okay.
It'll all be done according to the agreement. So then we've got the letter dated April 22nd from IBEW, their desire to renew and amend the agreement and move forward. So that process is being done. We'll go back and forth until we get some stuff set. We kind of responded, or Teresa's responded that, her and I talked briefly. It really doesn't make a lot of sense to meet and start going over stuff on contracts until we know some more of our numbers. So I'd asked about, health insurance, when we would find out what our health insurance would be. So when we get closer to getting those numbers, we'll get some stuff set. Who knows when that'll be, but at least then
should be
we,
not till about October.
at least then we know what we're negotiating and what we have to deal with. And since we did find a better insurance last year,
Right.
thanks to Linda, so.
Mhm.
So the current contract goes out to year end?
Yes.
Yep.
December 31st.
Mhm.
So that'll give us time. We just, last time I think we started earlier, which was fine, but then we didn't have the
Mhm.
numbers right away and we didn't know where to negotiate, so. That ball is rolling. Attorney's report, development agreement, Thompson edition.
Say, Chris, can I say something before you move on?
Yes, sir.
From personnel?
Yep.
You approved the job descriptions.
Yep.
Does that mean you're approving the reinstatement of that position and for me to repost that?
Yep, to be
Yep.
posted, yep.
Okay.
Those are, yep, approved and to post, yep.
Okay, thank you.
Yep. Sorry, I didn't make that clear before.
Okay.
Thompson's edition, this is one of those things that we kinda had done before the last meeting, but it wasn't available, so we just said, let's get it in print in here. Anything that we know is different, I mean, it's the same thing we've talked about, we just need to be able to approve it tonight.
Yep. Just customized a little bit per each project. So this one is a little bit different than the Stone Ridge development agreement that we were just talking about, in that this is gonna be a townhome development, so it's gonna be a private street. Some of those things are different, you'll notice in the development agreement, but consistent with other developments that we've done in the last 3 years in the city that are townhome type developments, so
You knew,
fairly standard.
had that wording when we were talking about capping the, not tearing the street up, was that, when we brought up last meeting? There was,
Yeah.
Help,
Have Josh on.
refresh my recollection about that.
Yeah, that was
Rather than boring under the street, we're gonna allow for the entire street to get the water connections, I believe, right?
right, then there was the other
Is that the public
one.
utility crossing?
It's in
Yes.
here
That
somewhere.
there
Okay,
is
I
language in
didn't
there
read
to-
through the whole
to
thing, so
that
I
effect.
apologize.
It's okay, I'm trying to remember where I think this one also had that.
Just wanted to make sure.
Take a look at. I added it in there too. Look at page 5. Developers warrant that the proposed private utility roadway crossing conduit locations, is that the one that you're talking about? It is not on that page, it is on page 4. Yeah, 4.
Yeah, actually, yeah.
Paragraph
Okay.
E, is that what you are referring to?
E, and then I was looking at C too, expense of the sanitary sewer mains, yeah. I wanted to make sure.
C and D, yeah.
Thank you. I should have read a little more, but.
If I can interject a little bit, my opinion is that paragraph there says, plan specifications approved by the city engineer. I don't know if you need to specifically address some of the comments that were made or the discussion we had with Mr. Thompson. You guys made some decisions and provided direction for that developer to make changes to the plan that was agreeable to the city. So I ultimately will approve those plans, so that should kind of fall in line by you approving the verbiage in the development agreement.
Okay.
Because we'll approve those plans based on your comments, so I don't know if we need to get into what those comments were in this document.
Okay, okay, thanks, Brad.
Yep.
Any other questions for the attorney?
That's the only one I had.
All right, I'll entertain a motion to approve the Thompson Addition Development Agreement.
I'll make the motion.
Signed, do I have a second?
I'll second that.
Stan, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. We're gonna close the meeting for a discussion on a real estate transaction and an update on litigation. We'll open the meeting when we're done. Close the meeting, that'd be great.
Off for litigation.
Off for litigation.